How about a little Curb Your Enthusiasm Hump Day Friday? It's off day with Ballpark Nation. Andy, you're back in Texas.
Well, you'd have to have enthusiasm to have it curbed. And as an Astros fan, not the most enthused person right now.
Man, I didn't even focus at all on the game last night. I mean, obviously, we're going to dive into it. I watched enough to be able to speak somewhat.
I mean, that was probably wise for your own mental health. So
yeah.
I do like that the YouTube algorithm knows me well enough to know to not put game highlights after a loss on my suggested feed. When they win, it's the first thing up there. And I'm give a like and a thumbs up. But when they lose, it's nowhere to be found on my screen. Good job, YouTube.
It's a fake AI video that said, when Houston used to have a baseball team. Yeah, man. I guess let's get into it. Astros lose 8-4 to the Yankees. Weird game. Caleb Ort, if a ground ball's fielded cleanly, no, scorched, and it wasn't by any means a routine play. It was not an error, but a play that probably should have been made.
Sure.
To get out of the inning. Instead, that play's not made, and then you get a 3 home run shot or whatever it is. So, yeah, it was a turn of events. The Astros ended up losing 8-4, but I think it was not a terrible start from Javier, all things considered. And Alvarez remains scorching hot, and the Astros have scored at least 4 runs a game for 3 of the last 4. The one, Andy not being, was a Cy Young candidate. So we're looking for any positive sign. I think they're there.
I'm still struggling to understand how, and I know the answer that some people want to give, how Christian Walker misses 3 fastballs in his little red box with the bases loaded. But I could also say the same thing about Carlos Correa because they both had opportunities. The bases were loaded with 1 out in the 9th inning.
In Correa,
you can hope for a little bit of, Minute Maid magic or Dyken Park magic or whatever you want to call it, and it was not to be had last night.
And Correa struck out on ball 4.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that.
Were all in the zone. He missed balls. At least they were in the zone.
I think Espada is kind of dead on with what he said earlier in the week. Is that everybody on this team is trying to win every game at every at bat instead of just passing the baton. And when the Astros have been at their most successful during this decade run, and it's a run, honestly, I think is still going. I did not pulling the plug. I still don't think we're not making the playoffs.
I think you have to not make the playoffs for multiple years before you say the run is over.
Yeah, I might change my opinion a little bit depending on how things go in Arlington this weekend. But there's still, 19, 20 some odd games left to play, and the pieces are there. They've just got to put it together. I just don't. We've been saying that since July.
We've been saying it since July. Again, the reality is, for as much as they have not played super well, they still have increased their lead by a game and a half. I mean, it's
nobody wants to win the division, which is why I'm pretty confident that we still make the playoffs. Because how would you look at the Mariners and go, yes, this is a team that is doing everything right and wanting to win when they have a game better record since July 1st than the Astros did?
Yeah, and they have been healthy.
Yes. And then you have the Rangers who've made a little run lately, but have lost 2 of their better players for the remainder of the season. So I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep that up.
Well, and they made a run lately, but then again, you take 1,000. Like the Rangers are so weird because they've been back 3 times this season, and then immediately they've fallen.
They'll drop 5 in a row.
Yeah, like they've lost 2 straight after beating up on the likes of the White Sox and such. So, yeah, looking at the FanGraphs projections, just for people, the Astros they do sit 3.5 games above the Mariners, with a 73% chance of winning the division and a 93% chance of making the playoffs. The Mariners are in a world of hurt. They've gone, Andy, from 91% chance of making the playoffs to 75. They can't buy a win, and it's kind of amusing to watch.
And again, it's by design, to a large extent, because the way their general manager has tried to craft this team is to win at a 540 clip. I mean, they're not even doing that right now.
No.
But spend as little money as possible and take advantage of what should be a generational pitching staff. The problem with a generational pitching staff is that you can't count on all 5 of those guys to stay healthy, to be effective year over year over year. And you're seeing some of that now, where some of these guys that were studs like Bryce Miller last year are sporting inflated ERAs. You add a little bit of offense, but that offense has been kind of deadened for Suarez and their new first baseman.
Suarez and Naylor have not been good pickups for them. And we said on the show,
I don't think they're bad pickups, but I think you have to recognize that Suarez wasn't hitting all that well when he was a Mariner last year.
He only hit well in Arizona.
Yeah, and guess what? Ballpark in Arizona plays a little bit differently than the ballpark in Seattle. Probably because of the fewer homeless people. It's very hot in Arizona, and so the homeless people tend to go indoors. Where Seattle, it's very nice. It's temperate, a little moist, but
a little moist. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. Right now, they do have an easier path as far as schedule goes, but since, as we've discussed on the show, I can look at this all I want. It doesn't mean shit. The Rangers, though, if we are going to give this any credence, have the 4th most difficult schedule left. So I don't know. I'm still very much bullish on the Astros making the play. I mean, winning the division. I don't know. I will say this. I am very much bullish on the Astros winning the division. I don't know if they go past the first round with how inconsistent they've been. And, if the sucky thing is if they win the division, those first 3 games will be at home where they don't hit again, Andy. They don't hit at home anymore. Again, it's weird.
Yeah. We've talked about it before. I'm almost to the point of just wishing that Jim Crane would somehow announce that they're redoing the entire outfield configuration again, because something has changed, and I'm not smart enough to know what it is. I don't know if it's a batter's eye issue. I don't know if it's the size of the batter's eye. I don't know if there's some woman flashing the batters when we're at bat and they just haven't caught it on camera yet. I don't know if it's Bobby Dynamite. I don't know what's going on, but when we're at home, this team can't consistently string hits together. It has been rare and far in between. And you look at this homestand, this 10 games where we went 4-6 against not great competition. One game we scored 8 runs against the Yankees because the Yankees decided to throw the ball all around the infield for an inning. And the ump show was certainly part of that. We scored 8 runs against the Angels. That was probably our most legitimate offensive output for the entire 10-game homestand. And then everything else was kind of either we're frustrated with 0 to 1 runs, or we're going to sit in that 3 to 4 world where the guys on this team should be hitting more than they do. They should be scoring more runs than they do. Yeah. And so it's a real problem. And I get very frustrated. I know Espada's trying to develop some consistency with the lineup now that Alvarez is back. And I know we've had this conversation before that lineup construction doesn't matter.
Well, we had that conversation with someone who's not on the show anymore for many reasons, including continuing to repeat that, which is, maybe across the season it doesn't, but I'm sorry. If you have a couple of guys getting hit and then a bunch of dudes who suck and then another good hitter, who cares? You got to have your best hitters next to each other in the lineup. Sorry.
And I think he's trying to do that, but Alvarez at second would make a lot more sense if we had any faith in the 7, 8, 9 guys ever getting on base. And right now they're not getting on base. And so he's been lights out for over a week right now, but has very little to show for it other than a good average and a good OPS because nobody's on base in front of him.
Well, you raise a good point, and you raise a good point where like the sort of problem when you and I have both taken the approach of you need to have a blended approach to things. Analytics can't go out the window, but it's also not the only thing. Like, we're not calculators, these are not robots. And yes, I think both of you and I acknowledge that in a regular lineup, your best hitter should bat second.
Mm-hmm.
But if your lineup is really only 6 deep, maybe you should bat him third to increase, even though you might have fewer ABs, you might have more opportunities with an RBI situations at that point. It's a situation where, yeah, the analytics say a thing, numbers say a thing, but those numbers have to be applied to the real world realization of what's happening. And right now, nothing's happening.
Yeah, and that more than anything else will doom the Astros in a short series. Our pitching could get hot. Fromber could, still be on the team at that point. Kidding. But you could, potentially string together a couple of starts and maybe stay in ball games. But if you're not going to score runs, it doesn't really matter how good your pitching is. And our pitching's not great, so it's not like you can go out and say, well, we could win a 1-0 game or a 2-1 game. I don't think that's true of the way this roster is currently constructed. So there's got to be offense to win these games. And I still believe that it's not the team with the best pitching. It's not the team with the best hitting. It's not the team with the best defense. It's the team that is best at all 3 of those categories. They might not be the number 1 ranked in any of them, but they might be top 5 in all of them.
You have to be Salt Lick barbecue.
Yeah. And
you might not be the best brisket, ribs, or sausage, but you have really good brisket, ribs, and sausage.
Yeah. Your potato salad is not going to cover it.
No. Although I like their potato salad. I'm normally a mayo-y potato salad, but I like it.
Are we talking about Salt Lick?
Mm-hmm. Do you not like?
Not a sponsor, but if they'd like to, we'd certainly take the monetization.
I would. Heck, they could pay us some brisket. I'd be in. Well, that's me. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's kind of there's no logical way to look at it because the talent in that lineup is there outside of. I mean, I even think when you bring out Urias, you have a really decent 8 or 9 hitter in Ramon Urias. I don't trust Yanier as far as I can throw him out of shape, and that was proven again yesterday. Diaz only hits, it seems like, when everybody else is hitting already. We need you to hit when no one else is. Like, we need everybody we don't need everybody to hit at once. We need 3 guys to hit every night. That's what we need.
Yeah, and as witnessed by the fact that he's now kind of regularly featured 6th or 7th, depending on how his spot is put in the lineup now, because he's not producing. And
Carantini gets a pinch hit his first at bat back.
Yeah, the other negative is he doesn't really have a defensive position to play, so I don't know what role he has on the team other than being inexpensive, and he's going to run into 18 to 25 home runs in a season because pitchers make mistakes.
Yeah.
He is not a guy that's going to hit a good pitcher's best pitch.
No.
Ever.
No, and I think it's funny, I think Dusty knew that. And even back in 03 or 23, remember when everybody was clamoring for him and he was saying things like, well, he's not ready, or, you'll be thank me. But I think there's a reason why Dusty didn't play him.
Well, I think that it was pretty simple. And I think we talked about it back then, but it's exposure. If you don't get a book on a guy because he doesn't play all the time, it's a lot easier for him to ambush you in that way and get hits off pitchers that he probably wouldn't normally. Because the normal progression would be, I'm going to start you off with a fastball and then throw something breaking and try to get you off your game. But if you don't swing at that, I'm going to have to throw you another fastball. The book got out real early on him after that 23 season that if I just throw sliders away, he's not going to hit any of them. The only time he gets hits is if mistakes are up in the zone, because he can't lay off that shit.
No, I mean, even if and he's gotten a little bit better, but if that count gets full, he's swinging at whatever.
It's why I'm not a manager, but I would literally fine if I was the pitching coach or the manager of a baseball team facing the Astros. I would fine anybody who threw him a fastball. Why would you? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, totally.
I would have taken the same approach to Pedro Serrano too, though. So,
But man, like, and I think you and I, it's easy to get, like, people get angry, like, at some of our takes, and I get it. But, I think you and I are also pretty open about the fact that, like, I'm open about the fact that my dislike of Yanier Diaz is, like, irrational at this point. It is. I am everybody who's criticizing Caleb Ork this morning, ignoring the fact that for the past 2 months, Caleb Ork's been a very good reliever. And he had a bad night last night. But for the last 2 months, he has been an asset for the team. But everybody wants to ignore the last 2 months, and they want to focus on the season ERA, and then they want to focus on the fact that he sucked last night. I'm that guy with Yadier Diaz. I don't care what he could go 4 for 4 tomorrow and beat the Rangers by himself. And the next time he swings at a ball in the dirt, I'm going to want him cut. And I'm okay.
It is a more consistent approach that way. Your hatred is consistent. You're not just basing it on game-to-game results. So, bravo.
Bravo. I'm evolved. I did get rid of my other Twitter account, the one I was doing a lot of interaction on, because the whole snafu with Kirk Herbstreit and people thinking that Herbstreit was calling Belichick awful, the whole hot mic incident.
Yeah.
And he had a tweet about, me and I think is it Chris is it Reese Davis that does the call with him? And Holly are doing our best, and somebody called Holly Rowe a fat pig, and I defended her. And then my DMs just got blown up with like threats and shit. So I closed that account.
Well, I mean, that account was living on Incel Central. So anytime you defend a woman in any way, you're going to attract all of the bugs to the bug light.
Yeah. Forgetting the fact that Holly Rowe has been through a lot, and the fact that she's really good at her fucking job. So, anyway, but yeah, there are people that
you ever stop to think that maybe this male loneliness epidemic that people talk about is just because a lot of men are dicks?
I think that's certainly certainly a big part of it. And, there is a lot, the incel thing is a problem. And there's a lot of, it's funny. We talk about this because my wife, Jess, and I are celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary on Tuesday. Not an incel, but we were having this debate about just like how, you don't undo it. But part of this issue with dating online is that, Jessica never would have clicked on me if she were simply dating through an app. And there was nothing about me that would have made her click, but meeting in person, and I made her laugh and all this other stuff. So there is a problem. And we as a society are creating incels. A lot of them are dicks. A lot of them we're making to be dicks. And either way, it's a problem. But this
Elizabeth and I were the exact opposite. We did meet online, and I am far more charming online than I am in person. So I had that going for me. Because you can edit your thoughts.
No, but she would have looked at, like at the time we met, GI, not college educated, had an ex-wife, never would have clicked. Never would have gotten past knowing that information. So, because you can't put on the bio, I know how to lay some serious pipe in the bedroom, because everybody just thinks you're lying.
But you can, and that is one of the things that women will not click.
And then that's it, man. Like be honest with yourselves, ladies.
I would like to see the profile that gets a lot of action that has laying pipe anywhere in it. I may set one up just to see, if it works in 2025.
And that's not on that Angie.com
for a minute. So
if you have a profile on Angie.com that says you lay pipe well, you might get clicks on that one, because they probably mean plumbing at that point. Although I mean plumbing too. Ayo. Sex. That's
Ballpark Nation on all your social media channels. Go ahead and DM him about his opinions.
That's all. That ends our. No, I guess part of the reason why I can't be fired up about last night's game, and therefore I'm talking about pipe laying near my anniversary, is to me it's like it's about getting the division, and until we get tied with the Mariners again, which honestly could happen. And the Astros have a favorable schedule going forward, but these next 7 are actually pretty tough.
I'm looking at the Mariners schedule right now. They've got a healthy diet of yuck coming up, and I don't follow them closely enough to know if they're actually going to be better against the Angels than we are. Because splitting 2 at home is not great, but they got 3 against the Braves this weekend, and
they get 3 against the Braves, but their pitching matchups do not favor them at all, to the point that ESPN projects them to lose tonight, and their the betting favorites to lose tonight.
And then you've got a Cardinals team who,
Has given up.
after a little bit of exchange with our friend Scott McIntyre, evidently the Cardinals have quit being a baseball organization. So I did not know that. I was told there is probably more talent at AAA than there at the Redbirds game I was at on Wednesday night than there is at the major league level for the Cardinals because of mismanagement. So there's that opinion. Then you got 3 against the Angels. Then they play the Royals, who are kind of technically still in a wild card hunt, but maybe not really. Then head-to-head against the Astros, and then Rockies and Dodgers. And the Dodgers are playing worse than the Astros are right now, folks.
They are. They are.
Who knows if that's going to be true in 3 weeks or 4 weeks?
I don't think it'll be true in 3 weeks. And it's what's funny, for as much as the Dodgers are playing worse than the Astros right now, they also have somehow still gained space in their division. They were tied with the Padres 6 games ago, and now they're up 2. So,
because while the Dodgers have lost 3 in a row, the Padres have lost 4 in a row and are 2-8 in their last 10.
Yeah. As a newly adopted Padres fan, and one of my good friends at work who has it's funny to me, Andy, to listen to him talk because he's a big baseball guy, but he's just like, man, the Astros they just keep finding a way, and we're over here like hanging ourselves over this team. The Astros, they control their own destiny. Everything they want's right out in front of them. I don't think that they catch the first round bye, but I do think they still win the division. And we can debate with the offensive struggles of this, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I mean, it's better to be in and hosting than not, in theory. So I'm going to support them until they're not playing anymore, just like always.
Yeah. Well, and like I think, the division is pretty close to being sealed up, even with a 3.5 game lead at this point. It also means you're 4 games outside of the first round bye. And so I think that ship is sailed.
Yeah. Although we do have 3 against Toronto. So I guess it's possible you get close, kind of, but it's hard for me to look at a series and go, yes, that's a series the Astros should absolutely win the rest of the way. They could win all the series left because none of them are all that great, but they could lose everyone because we just don't know what we're getting series to series or even game to game at this point. I do think this offense will benefit from going to Minute Maid Park this weekend and not being I expect Jose Altuve to push his OPS back up 40 points because he seems to drop that 40 points every week or so. It's kind of an up and down thing right now. He hits well in Arlington, so I would like to see that continue.
I would like to see Astros fans, when they're complaining about approach, to quit yelling at Jose Altuve for swinging crazy, because that's the one guy that's earned every single big moment he has had in Astros history has been a ball that was not in the strike zone.
Well, it's almost like they have never watched him play before.
Yeah,
he swings wildly all the damn time. Yeah. This is not new. This is not, he's washed. That's what I saw this morning when I got on Twitter, which I should not have done. He's washed. He's just struggling to make it through. Or this is just Jose Altuve. He's going to swing wildly, and there's going to be weeks at a time where he connects on everything he swings wildly at. Right now, he's not in one of those weeks. The Rangers have historically been a cure for what ails him, and we don't have to deal with Eovaldi. No one does. So who knows what's going to happen in Arlington? But I'd like to see
no Eovaldi and no Seager for them.
If you could get literally the way this offense is as bad as they are, if Alvarez stays hot and you could get one of Altuve and Correa hitting half as good as Jordan is right now, you'd win a lot of ball games.
Yeah, Jordan having his first 2 4-hit games back to back, and just smoking the ball too. And that happened again. And we've talked about this all year. In the Astros defense yesterday in particular, they had a lot of loud outs, and it's just, you got to think eventually, just like how those balls were all falling in June, eventually they're going to start falling again. Now, look, I'm trying to figure out, I want your take on this. So there are 21 games left. The Astros have a 3.5 game lead. How many wins do you think they need to secure the division? If they go 13-8, they'll hit 90 wins.
I think you could win this division with 88. So what's that, 11-9?
So if they go 11, no, that'd be 11-10. So they go basically 500. You think they win the division?
Yes, because I haven't seen anything from the Mariners. But again, that depends on how those 11 wins are kind of spread out. You've got to win the series against Seattle, I think.
Yeah. And talk about push comes to shove or the irresistible force into something or other, because you're talking about one baseball and historically bad road team that the Mariners have been this year. Historically bad versus a pretty meh home team.
Yep. That's 2 weeks away, and I don't want to really think about it, even though I have tickets to that last home game now.
Yes, you do, because I am doing my level best.
Hey, they won the last game I attended. And they also decided that if I'm in a minor league park watching a minor league baseball game, the Astros win that same night.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a 5-game streak in that thing.
In that very specific department?
Yes.
Does it have to be an underattended minor league park? Didn't you say there was about 100 people in Memphis?
It picked up because for some reason I was at the Memphis Redbirds against the Rochester Red Wings this past week. And at
all
first
former
pitch,
Batman sidekicks.
Yeah, at first pitch, for whatever reason, they do first pitch at 6:45. I did count, and I could not see in the club section, so let's assume there's some people in there. Fewer than 50 people in the bowl.
Wow.
Now let's assume in the club section, because those are usually sold and people take advantage of that kind of stuff because there's food and beer usually. Let's say there's another 50 there. Now, by the third inning, that population in the bowl probably tripled, so up to about 150 people in a stadium that I think seats about 7,000.
Yeah. It's a decent size for Wow. Yeah, I mean, if you've never been, it's a beautiful ballpark.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little dated. I can absolutely see where renovations are needed, but concourses are nice. Field looks nice. There was a nice breeze in Memphis, Tennessee, compared to Houston, Texas. Somebody was asking me at the Sun Records tour that I went on.
How was that? Well, never continue. Sorry.
You're from Houston. I said, so you're used to this heat. And I said, it's actually a little bit less humid here right now. And they did not believe me. But then he did a whole lot of Elvis impersonations the rest of the time I was there. So
Did they look at you and say, bless your heart?
No, this was a guy. His name was Josh. He's a very entertaining tour guide, but very much believing in the Elvis magic.
Are you a Graceland guy? Like, do you go to Graceland and stuff?
I have been to Graceland once. It was fine. I will tell you this: the stuff across the street from the actual house is far more interesting from a pop culture standpoint than what's going on in that actual house, because the actual house is a little bit sad these days.
Much like the Astros' performance this past series against the Yankees, which is
there are some Astros things that hit, because my mom, that Elvis was her guy. Like, I know what day in 1977 Elvis died, because my mom was really broken up about it.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I consider myself an Elvis fan. Like, I often will listen to Elvis music. So yeah, that's definitely American icon. The movie was really good. Austin Butler.
Yeah.
There you go.
The Sun Records tour, it's a little bit pricey. It's $20 for about 45 minutes, but it's a good time.
Speaking of, we might as well talk a little bit about that. Anything you need to see out of A&M this weekend against University or whoever?
Very much like the A&M coaching staff, I'm not going to do a specific game prep for the Utah State Aggies, because we aren't. Why should I? I need to see, and I honestly, the only thing I know about Utah State is that they've got a new coach. His name is Bronco Mendenhall. Who doesn't want a head coach named Bronco?
Did he play for BYU?
Yes.
Yeah.
which is what you have to do in Utah.
Yeah, I just watched a really good docu-series about the Mormon influencer cult thing. Pretty messed up.
Have you noticed how many documentaries there are about Mormon cults and influencers and all that?
Who would have thought?
This is not I have no issue with the Church of Jesus Christ, Church of Latter-day Saints or any of that kind of stuff, but there seems to be a lot of coverage these days. So much so that when we turned on the one Ruby and Jenny, I guess whatever's on HBO is probably the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Jody, Ruby and Jody.
Hildebrand, right?
Yes. I turned that on, I guess, the first 2 episodes Monday night, and Elizabeth said, I've already seen this. And I said, well, you can't have already seen it. It's premiering right now.
That was the conversation that Jessica and I had exactly, because she's a true crime nut. She's like, I think I've seen this one. And then she said, no, because the one I saw was somehow better paced. Like she felt like this.
Well, I will say, if you're interested in that sort of thing, when it starts focusing more on Jody than Ruby, it gets better. And not better in a good way, because it's horrible stuff they're talking about. But I don't know why I have enjoyed so many documentaries lately about child abuse.
Yeah. Let's see.
But that's also what my algorithm's feeding me. So
I did rewatch, because Jessica had not seen Surviving Ohio State. So I did watch that again the other night. And I will say this, and I feel bad. I don't like to be petty about things. But after the Astros did lose to Ohio State on
Longhorns, the Astros have lost to many teams, but not Ohio State.
Sorry. After the Horns did, I just tweeted the trailer to that with no commentary. I just put it out there.
Seems fair.
As one does.
Yeah, but back to your original question. We play Utah State at 11:45 in the morning tomorrow. It is a purchased win. I have no doubt that the A&M Aggies should win. What I would need to see feeling better going into Notre Dame next weekend would be some ability to stop the run, and some ability to run the ball. Now, I am not one of those people that think that we can't run the ball because we didn't run the ball against UTSA. I think, A, they were stacking the box, but B, we didn't try. I think we had something like 11 rushes that weren't quarterback runs.
Sure.
Because they were very clearly trying to establish the passing game. So great. I want to see a running game a little bit. I want to see continued progress from the wide receivers and Reed, but the defense has got to figure out how to stop what is basically a Division II running back and running scheme before we get to Notre Dame next week and have to deal with Mr. Love and his giant legs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the only thing I'm looking for tomorrow –
And don't get hurt.
Don't get hurt, right. That's really it, right? I think the thing I'm looking for tomorrow from the Longhorns is just I want the game to be over so we can stop the hyper clickbait. I've seen the same interview with Tom Brady, which is a pretty measured take on Arch Manning, with the headlines, Tom Brady roasts Arch Manning. Like I'm just ready to have him have a decent game against nobody. That way we can stop with the performative hot takes on the issue.
So I'll ask this question to you. What would you need to see from Arch Manning and from the offense in general? I hate keeping to put this issue on Arch Manning's shoulders because I don't think it's him. I think he had a bad game, but I think there were a lot of factors going into that bad game that aren't just Arch Manning. What do you need to see from Texas's offense this weekend against a nobody opponent to make you feel better about what you saw last week?
Well, first of all, I don't feel bad about what I saw last week, so that's a trick question. However, what I want to see is the offense.
You know what I mean?
I do. But and what I want to see is the offense run efficiently. I don't want to see masked numbers because there's a bunch of 80-yard runs because these guys can't tackle. And I don't want to be able to look at that and say, look at the numbers. I want to see the offense function on time. I want to see Arch Manning not throw flat-footed. I don't want to see him noodle arm some receivers. I want to see him hit people in stride. I want to see blocking schemes. I want to see fundamental clean football. I don't want to see them take a guy lightly, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you had like I was saying, like you had all these big runs simply because they can't tackle. Like I want to see something that's going to I can translate to, when they play Florida, they'll be fine because they can do this, this, and that. So and I don't want anybody to get hurt. I'd like to see them only play a half. I want to see the rest of the team get to play as well. I want to see the defense be just as tight as they were against Ohio State and not take a team lightly because they are San Jose State or whoever we're playing, because it's not a baseball game, so they're not good. Because sometimes San Jose State's pretty good at baseball.
Sure. So, California kids.
Yeah.
I saw the bad news. I saw the bad news bear break in training. Those California kids are big.
They're big. That's what I want to see, man. I want to see, that first pass that Arch Manning had at the beginning of the game last week where he threw at somebody's ankles. I don't want to see him miss that pass, because that guy was just as wide open as anybody's going to be tomorrow. I want to see him hit that guy in stride on time. And I want to see him and Wingo start to develop a little bit better timing, because you can say what you want to about Arch throwing behind him on that third down play in the fourth quarter, but a lot of that also is just those are two guys that have not played a lot together, and they don't hit, practicing isn't replicating. It's even less a replication of game speed than it used to be. So I just want to see all of those things start to get a little bit better to be happy. If the score is 30-7, but they only played the first half, I don't care.
You know what I like, and I don't get as an A&M fan, I don't see it a lot. I like watching second strings and third strings come in and run the offense and score points.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
That's fun. It means you got depth.
I'd like to see it too, frankly, because I don't know who the backup quarterback is. Like
somebody named Owens.
Yeah, I guess they did.
His first name Buck.
I hope not, because they're going to put him in the movies, and he's need to worry about football. We
That's
already heard about how
Buck.
Arch is too busy making commercials. We don't need Buck walking naturally. You know what I mean?
And I do realize that you would not find this as funny as I did, but I did see at least one take on one of the social media outlets. I can't remember which one, asking how much practice time Arch missed to do that Warby Parker commercial. I chuckled.
None.
I also chuckled that somebody right now is saying that Fromber should try to sign with the Yankees just so we could all watch what happens when he has a bad defense behind him.
Yeah. So it is Trey Owens is the backup quarterback for the Longhorns. Let me tell you, I don't know where he's from though. I think
Parts unknown.
I think he is the transfer from let me see. Or was he a recruit? Never mind. He was a 4-star recruit. Okay. Yeah, because I know they did get a transfer quarterback from somebody, but that shows you how dialed in I am right this very second. No, it's funny though, because Jessica asked me the same thing, like, how much time does Arch miss to do commercials? And I was like, none, because they're not allowed to practice as much anymore. I mean, that's the thing. It's one of former students of mine is a backup tight end for Tech right now. I think it's his senior year, and he's never really been like a starter or anything, but he's played all 4 years. But I was talking to his mom about it, and the amount of their time that is micromanaged is a lot, but the amount of it that's spent not practicing would shock people. I think people think they practice 6 hours a day.
No, because under the auspices of the NCAA, they are still required to, pretend to attend class at least and have somebody take their test for them and write things. So assuming some of the guys actually do that, that does take up some of their time. And because that's a thing that you actually have to account for, I didn't have you here to major in math.
Yeah.
Conversations from coaches don't really exist anymore. So we could look up the limits, and I'm not going to effort it right now, but
also NIL time is now built in to that.
But there is a certain amount of hours that a football player can be asked to be at practice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not anywhere near the number you think it is.
No. And so, he is not missing time because he's and like I was saying, NIL commitments are actually now part of their schedule. Like it isn't even what little free time you have. The school wants these guys doing all that stuff because it's also good for the school. So No, he is not. He did not play great because he was too busy making a car commercial. It's just he had a bad day at the office.
I do hope that the media guide, should Trey Owens continue to be the number 2, gets a better headshot to ESPN of Trey Owens, because it's not good.
Yeah, and it's Matthew Caldwell, who was the one who came over from Troy, who I think they were hoping would be the backup because he has some experience, but he's running third string right now. Now, of course, Andy, you know as well as I do, that doesn't necessarily mean he won't be the first one to go in if, in fact, they need an actual starter to or someone to fill in until they can give some guys some reps. But I do want to see Caldwell
and that's all
on the offense.
That's all. Yeah, that's all game situation and down and distance for why you're putting the person in at that moment anyway. If it's mop up duty in the third quarter, I think you'll probably see both of them. Yeah,
probably. But this is the point though. Like the backup quarterback's a 4-star kid, really good. They've already got a 5-star kid recruited for, I think for the signing class that's coming at the beginning of next year. The Longhorns are turning into a machine very similar to Mac Brown. And so I don't know if Arch Manning is and Longhorn fans don't die of a heart attack, is the Chris Sims of this era, or if he's the Vince Young. I don't know. But whatever your criticism of what happened, the Longhorns are going to have more than enough opportunities to get back to where Longhorns fans believe they belong, which is among national title contenders year in and year out.
Got nothing to add to that.
What do you think about that? All right, so listen, we're going to wrap up, but I need to do a little bit of an informative rant thing. I might have been, Andy, you might have been able to tell us, but I've been a little off this episode. And just to kind of fill some people in that are watching now or listening later, I'm a vet and I've been dealing with the VA because in part with all of these Doge things, they have been making a lot of veterans. I don't think it's everyone, but a lot of veterans have been having to essentially reapply for their benefits if they were service disconnected. So I was service disconnected because I don't have cartilage in my knees because they're shredded. And when they say that a soldier is a GI government issue, it's like equipment, and my equipment didn't work anymore. So I was too high of a rank, so they had to bring somebody else in. So I was also then diagnosed with PTSD and a bunch of other little things. And so now 20 something years later, after getting out, the Army has decided that I have to be reevaluated for things. And it has been a series of interviews questioning whether or not I'm telling the truth about things that happened. And now the latest is I have to go to an appointment in San Antonio, Texas on a day they've assigned to redo this stuff. And if I miss the appointment, I get one reschedule. And if I miss the reschedule, I lose my benefits. Why I'm saying all of this is not a woe is me, but for people to be really aware that the government's not trying to take care of anybody that served. They're doing their best to get as many of them off the rolls. And it's a real thing. And you can get into your political bubble if you want to and think that Trump is super pro-veteran or that Biden was, and none of them are. All of them suck. And so if you know any veterans in your life, they're probably going through something similar. So just be extra nice to them, I guess. But yeah, it's been a pretty shitty experience for the last 3 weeks. So I guess I'm almost to the end of it one way or the other.
Well, hey, if I hit the Powerball on Saturday, I'll buy you some new knees.
I appreciate that.
Magic knees.
Actually, I would much rather you give those magic knees to Yordan Alvarez so he can play left field. Wow, we just lost a viewer based on my VA rant. I guess we had a Trumper. Hey, any other Trumpers on there, y'all are welcome to quit watching. So I don't know. Okay. Anyway,
there goes another one.
Oh my God, there goes another one. Good for us, I guess. All right, Andy. Aggie's going to be fine this weekend. I think the Astros will take 2 or 3 from Arlington, and we will be back here.
I think our fan base will melt down over the one if that's true.
It's probably true, and we'll be back here on Monday hand-wringing about a first-place team again because that's what this season has been reduced to, unfortunately. Go Braves. For Andy Tom Chesson, I'm Jim Christopher. This has been Off Day with Ballpark Nation.